Hello, and you're listening to Let's Drone Out. I don't know whether it got the beginning of that, so I better do it again. Hello, and you're listening to Let's Drone Out. Tonight, you're joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Hello.
The man with the moustache, Stephen.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm Jack, Brighton Till I Fly. Hello. Good evenings. I don't know what I was going to say then.
Good evenings.
Evenings.
Yeah, the meerkats are back.
The event you've been missing up until now. Evenings.
It's a little hard to tell if it's morning or evening now, isn't it? Because it's solidly dark all the time.
Yeah.
There is no light time. Yeah. And wet.
Not that we're bitter or anything. We're just British. It's different.
I know.
We're contractually obliged to mention the weather at least once in every conversation.
For reals. Well, when it's a constant hazard in your flying field and what you think is a nice green field is actually hiding about a solid like 20 mil of water across the entire field, you only realize when you squelch into it just below the tips of the grass. So it's kind of on your mind a bit. I was going to test GPS return to home, having finangled my GPS and got 12 satellites at last, but the fear it got me, the fear of random fail-safes and plunging into the soup.
The real worry at this time is in a crash, I may not find it at all because it'll be completely swallowed. If it goes in at the angle, it's straight under. Not a chance.
Yeah, and that telltale little blue plume of smoke across the field as the LiPo shorts out and destroys
if you're
everything.
lucky, give you a clue where it is. Smoke signal.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about it too much. Yeah, so this week...
Cole put up a thumbnail about the O3 air unit. And I was just... Go ahead.
It's a shame he can't be here. He's a little unwell. Get well, buddy.
Get well, Cole. We want our Canadian positivity back.
I know. Someone needs to... He
has been on for so long.
Get here and quietly weep until he comes back.
I'm forced to visit Canada next month just to bring my mood up and
I know.
Be around more Canadian people and make me happy.
A nation that manages to be cheerful at the prospect of seemingly eternal winter is a miraculous thing indeed.
That's great.
Barely get through.
It might get eaten by bears or killed by moose, and they're still jolly about it.
No, I know.
Must be something in the water. But yeah, from my limited knowledge about DJI and air units, what I've come to realize from watching about 15 seconds is that this new all singing, all dancing air unit don't work with the original goggles.
No.
And some people aren't happy because, damn you, DJI. It's like some of us may have seen this sort of thing coming because there's not a lot of trust in DJI. And they have a habit of like saying, stand on that rug there. Who is me?
Well, DJI just looks at their customer base, looks them dead in the eye and calculates, how much are you willing to pay me? That's what they want to know, isn't it? How much shit can I put you through before you give up and go somewhere else? And then they dial it down just one tiny notch below that and sell it to you.
I guess it's the old problem about DJI sell these goggles and then they bring out these new goggles and they realize that the customer who interested in the goggles have already bought the goggles and they say, how can we make people buy new goggles? And we're like, let's bring out a new air unit, discontinue the other ones and only make this compatible with the new goggles. That'll work.
Yep, and they're still going to sell them by the bucket load. So it only works if you've got the V2 goggles that have that mode where they could work with the DJI Potato drone, right? So if they work with the Potato, then they also work with the new O3 Air unit and you flash them and you get an extra mode for the O3 Air unit. But the original ones just had that single mode where they only work with the air units. And those are not capable of working with the new O3 Air unit. It looks like a nice bit of kit, but it's definitely more a GoPro with video out than an actual FPV system. It's tuned for that recording, not necessarily tuned for diving into dark spaces and letting you see what's going on in the shadows.
So is the problem with that is that how most people tend to mount their cameras which is sort of in between where the props come out. And unless everybody's going to start flying sort of dead cat or H quads, then we're going to have a problem with like props being in the way and stuff.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And then some modern frames have tried to hit halfway house. If you look at Chris Ross's stuff, he's not dead cat, but he tries to like get the nose stuck out a bit further and go for a bit of a squash X to get the props out of view. But it's quite wide, so yeah, it's not going to work for a lot of these systems. It's also quite wide, the actual camera lens assembly. It's a regular 14mm lens, I think, because I was looking at this earlier today and someone had dismantled one of them. So it's the same sort of lens that you'd see on a micro camera, but it's shrouded in this huge lump of aluminium, which makes it much wider than any normal camera.
I hear kitty noises.
Something. Yeah, there we are. Hello, kitty.
Don't rub the microphone. It's my psycho cat that likes to kill me. She's only here to dig her claws into me.
Whose name is
try
this?
And stand on the bits. This is
Poppadom.
Pops. Poppadom.
Ooh, Poppadom. Oh,
Who doesn't keep still. She just goes rubbing around things,
Poppadom.
standing on my keyboard, standing on my man bits, and putting her claws in them because she knows you're evil, aren't you?
That's friendly, isn't it? That's cat for friendly. Like,
That's
put
cat
on
for
your
friendly.
nuts, stick the claws in.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I guess because I have to say, I was starting to falter, and I was thinking, you know what? If I'm going to go digital and it's not Open HD, should it be DJI? Are DJI actually doing okay? But I see that, and it instantly makes me think maybe Walk Snail. So how is the opposition? Do you mind? You flew Walk Snail to test it out, didn't you, Stephen?
So I've heard similar complaints to mine that it's not really designed for what I call the big nose Europeans. Us big nose Europeans with giant noses suffer a little bit from these goggles, and I found the Walk Snail ones pretty painful. They were all resting right at the top of my nose, the bridge of my nose, and I've heard similar complaints about the DJI goggles. If you are blessed with a smaller nose, that might be easier for you to manage. And I think we were joking before that HD FPV is going to lead to fields of flying enthusiasts standing around in ugly functional clothing, but all with the most immaculate nose jobs to fit the goggles on better. That's the direction we're going to have to go, guys.
I used to think my nose was quite small and normal shaped until I had some sort of cartoon guy do a caricature, and he said to me, these were his words, "You have the perfect nose for a caricature." And I was like, what's that mean? Is it a big nose? And my wife's like, did you not know you had a massive nose? It's like, it's big. It's not going to fit in them goggles.
Same here.
That's
like
a
that
problem.
Walk Snail set, we're just hanging right off my nose in a very pressure, painful way. Yeah, so they're quite a nice system. It looks cool. You can set it to do 4K recording. It gives you the same frame rate on the goggles that you get through the recording. So if you want to record 4K 60, you get 60 FPS through to the goggles. So you're a bit stuck apparently in that there's only certain combinations where you can get the high frame rate to the goggles and good recording on the air unit. But it looks like it's got an SD card slot and it records. That's nice. It does 1080p at 100 hertz, right? Walk Snail, I think, is 1080p at 30 FPS. FPS and hertz are the same for this purpose, right? It's the number of fields that you're getting per second in the goggles. So we've got a bit of a jump up to 1080p 100 on DJI, on the O3. But then you've got to agree that DJI is where your money's going to go. And there are some developments coming down the line which are going to do things like increase the grid size for the OSD, which DJI may or may not bother to adopt. And there's going to be customizations for putting fields like the recording indicator, the voltage of the goggles, the temperature of the air unit, and all these pieces of information you normally see in your goggles, being able to customize those and move them around in like the Betaflight OSD, so you can get them out of the way of your flight controller OSD. So if you want to have your timers in a specific place on screen and in analog they fitted there, but in digital they overlap with the existing on-screen elements. You can move those out of the way. And there's a big question mark as to whether DJI is going to do any of this, because to my knowledge, DJI are not talking to anyone about their implementation, and they're not consulting anyone. And as far as I'm aware, there's no way to add extra glyphs or update the font set. So you've got MSP DisplayPort working, right? But if someone decides to add an extra page of fonts, say they want to be able to allow red text, or they want to allow extra signal strength indicators or something, DJI are probably not going to add those. And so you'll be in the same position that you were with the V1 goggles, where you're waiting for DJI to do a software update so that your OSD keeps parity with what the flight controllers are trying to do. So I'm still, I'm kind of reluctant to go do that.
Tricksy.
Man, that sucks.
It's all just a bit of annoyance, because fundamentally we don't have any manufacturer who's really responsive to the community so far, apart from HD Zero, and the HD Zero stuff is kind of limited and a bit more race focused. There's not really. Walksnail are doing some work with flight controller firmware, but it's kind of not in the open, and no one is entirely sure how far that's going to go. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for now and see how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
And then wonder how long before, they kind of get bored of this, or feel like there's not enough adoption.
Right.
Because we're lucky to have competition, but it's spread 3 ways. So if they think they're not making enough units, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, for all those V1 units, those early adopting people, and they're making the O3s, how long are they going to continue making the old Air units and Vistas and so forth? Well, they're not making the Vistas anymore, are they? Because of Cadex has ceased.
It's all just conjecture at this point. I mean, they'll make stuff that makes them money. If they see the sales of those systems continue, then they'll probably carry on doing them. But who knows? Hey ho. I saw Curry was mussing around with old systems that are no longer supported on the analog side of the fence, though. Curry, you had some old immersion RC stuff where you had to break out some goggles that you hadn't used in a few years, right?
Oh, they're so bad. I remember getting them at the time thinking, this is brilliant, I can see stuff. Now it just feels like someone's trying to remove your eyes with a toilet plunger or something. They're awful. Jack, you had goggles which had the eye cups in, didn't you? At some point.
Rubber seal.
I bought the Dominator V1s, but they were Dominator V1 V3s, and they had.
Oh, those are the V3s, yeah.
No, Dominator V1s.
Oh, they're still the V1s.
Yeah, they were V1, so they were black. But there was it was a third iteration of them. Oh, I loved how the camera followed Poppy.
I think I've got blood on my. She's ripped me apart. She's only doing this to torture me. I have the most evil cats. Cole's are lovely, and mine is just hello. Yeah.
I love
if she gets angry now, there's some bits of quad stuff on the floor. She'll pick up a servo lead and take it away because she knows it pisses me off. Kill you. Yes, mine, I was having fun with old stuff.
Oh man, I hated those eye cups. I remember in the depths of summer, you're wearing black goggles, you're just sweating, and then the cups used to fill up with sweat. It was so gross.
Not only that, they fall off because they're not held on very well. I put glue in to try and keep them in.
Yeah, there's 2 little has anyone ever had a Noctua fan? But basically, the eye cups were molded, and they had 2 little bits that point upwards, and you'd feed them through, and then they would kind of O-ring seal around, but you had these 2 points that you'd pull through and then trim to size. And if they were trimmed too short, then the eye cups would then fall out. It was awful. What an awful design.
and they'd instantly mist up, of course, because there was no fan.
Yeah.
And if you're having a bit of a sweat on, or it was cold out and it's on your forehead, and it's like, forget it, can't see anything. So you got very used to like flying with one hand and holding the goggles slightly off your face, waiting for them to demist as you were going. That was fun.
Yeah.
I had the Sky O2s
pre-warming.
that didn't have a fan, and I used those for ages, and they had the rubber cup as well. I actually quite enjoyed that, and I thought that was quite a comfortable fit, but I never really used them in the peak of summer, I have to say.
Yeah,
that's
Have you
different
tried them
animal.
back lately?
Yeah, they're a couple of years newer than the old Fat Sharks, but they did have the kind of big sucker cup onto your face.
Yeah, hang on. I don't know whether I explained the eye cups very well, but
and provide a photographic evidence where it looks like someone's tried to remove your eyeballs with a sink plunger.
What I've been doing today is continuing on that to build the KK1 quad. And what I'm finding is that, I was telling Stephen about this, it's really hard to find the firmware, the original KK firmware now. And even trying to run the application to update the board doesn't work, even though it's written in Java. And I have Java on my system. It's like, nope. I had to run a VM to run the thing, and then it says, oh, there is no firmware available on the repositories because that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, you pull these little tabs through.
Oh, this was a later version. The iCaps I have don't have that bit. There's literally just this little...
No. They would be trimmed off.
Oh, are they trimmed off?
Yeah, like maybe Dominator.
Why don't they
Predator.
stay on then?
No, look, that goes through a little hole in the... If you look on the inside of your goggles, there's like a little hole there, and they feed through, and it's to try and like lock them on. Here you go. Is there a... Yeah, the originals didn't, but there'd be a hole there, and it would feed through.
No, mine don't have that. They just have iCups that fall off, and they're only held on by that little seal that runs all the way around the outside. But because it's not particularly tight, it's like plop, fall off halfway.
I found my original Sky Zone goggle bag, but it doesn't have my original goggles in, so I don't know where they've gone. So
now look. See, you'd feed that through, and then snippy, snip, snip, snip.
No, mine don't have that. Else I'd stay in place.
There you go.
No. Boo. Anyway, I've managed. I found my old. I had to look up what it was. I had to try and find it. Bosscam VTX. This is how old it is. This is before I got my first immersion RC VTX. I had a Bosscam VTX, and that didn't even work with
on regular goggles.
Well, it didn't work on regular goggles. I had a separate receiver.
Different
and this is
channel layout.
This is back in the day. Yeah, I think it's on E, the band.
Yeah,
and I used to have. I cut up a piece of shelf from a bookshelf. And
this
I
was back in the day
tripod.
before goggles had like 48 channel receivers or 60 channel ones.
That's because the original modules you had were like Fat Shark based. It's like, here's a Fat Shark module. It does the Fat Shark channels. And there were two of those. The next one called Next Wave was much more sensitive, but it still only did those 8 channels. It was a long time before we got stuff that did everything.
Yeah, I have to say that backpack functionality was kind of magic testing that. That was just kind of nuts. Set the channel on the radio and everything just goes, hoop. Oh, that was pretty cool. I'm enjoying that.
It's quite good. I like the fact that with the backpack, I mean, I tend to use the same channel all the time, so it doesn't really matter. But the idea is you can just turn on a quad and it goes, oh, okay, let's change channel and let's change your goggles and we're ready to go. All like that.
You know, I was thinking with your KK1 board, Curry, you know how you've got the pots to change your gains. What about wiring up some servos so that you could tune it via servos?
to attach servos to the little things
Yeah,
and make them
exactly.
turn.
So you could tune it from your radio, sending servos up and down. The
That'd be
horror.
nasty.
The horror.
I'm not sure there's that much to tune, really. It's kind of like, I mean, I found the original manual for it, and the fact they say fly it, trim it level, and then start messing with the gains. The fact you have to talk about trimming things in multicopters is insane. It's like, oh, mine keeps veering off to this side. Just trim it back. It's the exact opposite you'd do now. It's crazy talk.
The horror. The horror.
I can show you what it looks like at the moment. It is almost there. This is the build.
Oh
And
wow!
The KK is under there.
Look at those arms. That's a lot of arms.
Yep. This is what you needed back in the day.
What
because
size props are you gonna have on that? Looks like a beast.
I think I used to fly this with 9-inch props. I found some 8-inch ones, so I can try those out. But yeah, these are 1000 kV motors. So we'll see.
Like a 4S then?
No, it's generally flown on 3S, and I think I'm going to have to continue that because I found this is what I did find. I was looking for old cameras, and I found this one that I used to have attached, and this has got a servo arm, so I can go up and down. There was actually a feature on the KK2, so if you leant it forward, this thing would like trim itself up, and as you came back, it did that. But that was almost unflyable. You completely lost sense
people
of
are
your
still
height.
of the opinion that it's unflyable, even when you've got a modern flight controller that actually behaves
Yeah.
itself.
So I figured I might have this just to manually do stuff, and this is the old Bosscam VTX, which looks like that,
Right.
200 milliwatts, and the back here. Where are we? Let's find them. You got this bit there.
Dip switches.
Which you won't be able to see. Dip switches. And what this does, it
You
takes
were gonna say
12.
dip switches.
The reason I'm flying it on 3S is because it's less complicated. This takes up to 16 volts. So I put a 3S directly in there.
Go on, wave it at the camera.
Here it is. I put 3S directly in here.
Yeah.
And what it does, it has the same voltage coming out here. And then this feeds into the camera, which also runs off 12 volts. So I can run the whole thing on one battery without any power distribution or voltage regulation, and just do it that way. And the entire board just runs from the fact that the ESC's got a BEC in it, and that runs the board and then feeds through to the receiver to run the 5-volt thing.
What could go wrong? Don't answer that.
Most things, yeah, a lot. But it's fun to find out. It's kind of fun to fly, and maybe I'll try the things. I've still got a few different boards I haven't tried yet.
Do those flame wheel arms tend to bounce and bend rather than snap? Because they look kind of springy.
That's a flame wheel copy. Back in the day, everybody had a flame wheel, including myself. Mm-hmm. That is a copy, but the arms are exactly the same. And I've crashed my NASA one when it was having problems, which I eventually tracked down to the dodgy DJI bullet connectors, which was so loose that you could just get the wrong vibration, and you'd get this minuscule little part where the motor would desync because it suddenly lost one of the connections. So you're going along and suddenly there's whoop, whoop, and if you're close to the ground, then it goes into it. So I went along quite fast and I snapped one of those arms completely in half and had to get a new one. Other than that, I haven't done any real serious crashes on those ones, but yeah, I think they're a bit brittle rather than bendy. But
I wonder how they'd fly with a modern flight controller. Just get some like F7 or H7 and put it on an old flame wheel and try and thrash the pants off it on 6S or something. Could be amusing.
I think it'd be okay if you got the whole thing right. So I tried flying the 450 I had on a modern flight controller, but I only had the old 900 kV motors and the 30 amp ESCs that had to run off PWM, and that was awful because you just couldn't get that tuned. It's so slow to react because it's like big props. You just can't spin them up and down as quick. So yeah, if you had the right stuff, it'd be all right, I think. Hello.
Would you like to know some good news?
Yes, please.
I have 2 of those official DJI arms if you want them.
Oh, well,
Here,
I'm
the
okay at the
official
moment.
ones are up to 10% less wobbly than the clone ones.
Yeah, and I've got full-size Sunny Sky motors. If you're interested, would you like me to show you?
Go on then.
Okay. Are they in here? No, they're in the other one. I was right the first time.
They're going to have like a giant spindle sticking out the top of them, aren't they? It's going to be like a full 6 inches of spindle.
Look at that.
That is a
There you
monster.
go.
What is
There
what's the writing on the side say it is?
X2 2212
Bloody
for 980 kV.
Oh, I thought these were
2212, sir. It's a lot of volume.
That's the 2212, but your Sunny Skies look much bigger.
It's a black. Must be the Ninja
Well,
edition.
I did not say that, people. Hello, Caroline Taylor. Old Stephen's into the old two-tone porno.
That's monstrous.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's up to you. They're there if you want them.
Well,
They're
thank
kind
you
of
for
my-
the offer. But I have got. I'm not saying these
Because
motors are
you
bad
were
or anything.
missing one.
But no, I found it. They're unbranded and they were so out of balance. I've actually had to put tape on the motors to try and balance the motors out. This is how bad they are. I actually built this before and I called it El Cheapo because even at the time, this stuff was shit. I bought really cheap, nasty stuff and I built a quad from it. And now,
Well, no, it's 10 years in the past. It's vintage.
Yes. It's fun to reminisce though, at least.
Yeah. Well, if you want those arms, you can have them. And I don't know anyone else with said armage.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I've still got a 450 frame with 4 arms as well, so I'm okay. I did smash it up, and I think because that one when I first got Free Sky, I had these V8 receivers. I bought the wrong receivers. I thought they were the telemetry ones, and they weren't. They were really crappy ones, and that's when I went to the D8. I'm putting this is an original D8 receiver. This is the D8 R2, which are pretty good. And would you like to know what I'm flying this with in terms of radio? Excuse me, Cat.
Oh, I can only imagine. The 9X. Please
2
be a
pieces of string tied to each other sides of the craft. No.
The Turnigy 9X.
It's the 9X.
Module. Without a module, like antenna module in the back.
We're using a Free Sky module in the back. But
DJT.
This is my super modified one with a Smarty Parts board, the backlight. We've taken weirdly these came with a module in the back you could remove, but there was a wire going underneath and out the top, so you had to remove all that.
So you can use the module bay. Yeah, they didn't do an internal module. They just stuck an internal module in the module bay and then fed. And the other thing is you couldn't, if you look, the molding's wrong on the back. So you can't even use a normal module without cutting a little bit of the plastic out, which I'm assuming that you did. Can you have a look? Let's have a look.
Yeah,
I'm
I
interested.
did something because I remember doing something in the back.
Diabolical.
Oh yeah, you mean look? There's a hole up there. That's where I had to take the thing out. Yeah, but the pins are at least the same. But yeah, that's where that thing fed through. So it's just like, let's cut. Oh yeah, it had some bit coming out, didn't it? So you had to cut that away.
It's so garbage.
But that was amazing because I flew that for quite a while on the original firmware, and it's not until I got that board and got to ER9X I thought this is amazing. Now this is much better.
I on the inside of mine, I desoldered the sticks and then put the proper connectors so that you could change them and I put Tyrannus gimbals in my 9X, and you had to kind of like switch them around so it'd work properly. Hey, Numbskull, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the disaster zone.
Is there anyone on the Discord chat? I wonder if anyone's actually using that, and we've just been ignoring it because I forgot to load it.
I hadn't seen anyone. Well, public voice general. Oh, if I can't join that because then I'll be speaking into public voice general chat. It might be. No, there's no one there. If they are, they're quiet.
Yeah.
Should we join the chat on Discord as well? Because we did that after the show, but we didn't do it during the show, which might be a crucial error.
Well, Clive and Caroline joined, and then they disappeared, and I don't know why. But I mean, we need to do this month's bonus show.
Bonus.
Yeah. Which I don't know how Curry Kitten feels about that.
Can't do it tonight.
Why?
I'm required to spend time with the family watching celebrities get mutilated and stuff on TV.
Have any of them died yet?
Afraid not.
Oh, okay. Well, do let us know if that annoying MP chap meets a sticky end.
Oh, I'm afraid he's still
and
there.
If he eats it.
Well, he's eaten lots of nasty things, but he hasn't died.
Sticky ends, yeah.
Boo. Oh, Caroline said she's just bought the O3 unit just to try.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Brave. Very brave. If I had the V2 goggles, I might have given it a shot, but alas, mine are the V1, so I'm not sure I can be bothered. It sounds cool to be able to do 1080p, and I think it gets a wee bit further than the OG kit because it's got that H.265 goodness, so it can like struggle along at 3 megabit and give you something that's flyable. Whereas on H.264, 3 megabit is just like a wall of colored tiles, and you give up and try and punch out.
Yeah, the file sizes on H.265 are crazy, aren't they? The compression on that's pretty amazing.
You can get by with about 2/3 the amount of data. So if you think about when you're streaming over the air, instead of needing sort of 5 megabit, you can get by on 3 megabit, and you get the same sort of quality that you would get on 50 megabit down at like 35 megabit. It's pretty awesome. So it's nice to have, but it doesn't look a hell of a lot different. Sorry.
I would ask Jack if he regrets selling his original DJI FPV goggles before he had a chance to use them, or if he's just feeling smug about going for the t'other one, which I've already forgotten the name of. What's the module? What's the thing?
The HV0.
That's it.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I still lost a lot of money on those, so you know, I don't feel great about it whatsoever. No matter how long, you know, it kind of carries on for.
If you'd hold on to them, they might have gone up a bit. Sorry,
but then I'd be making a video about you being a scalper, so it's not good.
Yeah, I think Jack's about as far away as you can get from being a scalper.
I know he just keeps offering to send stuff for free. Have this, take it. It's nothing. I'll pay you.
I know.
So are you excited, Jack, about HD0? Because it feels like HD0 is one thing on its own and walks now on a DJI trying to do different things. And I guess it's all about latency versus resends to get the best possible picture.
Yeah, I don't know. Until I have it and play with it, and then I've still got to buy a like module unit thing with it anyway, etc. So you know, I don't know, and I don't know what quad I'm going to put it in either, because at the moment I've been trying to do SH connections and like crimp them and like put them into stuff, and it's just been an absolute nightmare. So at the moment I've had this ESC sat on my desk, and I just haven't been able to like do or get anywhere with anything at all.
Bummer.
So I'm struggling really. I got out. I haven't got HD0 yet, but I think I might be buying my friend Dave's module. Hopefully.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's when
Good
I
luck,
see him.
man.
Yeah, I mean it's something, you know. I was like, I had a little go. We kind of like met up, and it was like the last time that I went out flying with the guys, and had a really good time. And he let me use his like 6S quad, and it had HE0, and it was just nice. It was nice to be able to see, really. And I think I'll have a good time. I'll have a good time like following people and chasing things, and you know.
Did you
and all
see the
that.
full purple screen of pants pooping?
Yeah, it is. That is terrifying. As long as I don't I might be a bit sort of like pussy with the sort of like range and that, because it's horrible. The breakup is something to get round. But
The breakup
I don't
is
know.
like being slapped around the face. It's quite violent.
Yeah, it is very brutal. But you know, I'm gonna, obviously speak to Menace, stick some Menace antennas on, and just kind of, go with it. Because at the moment, it'll be nice to kind of, just chuck them in the back of the quads I've got, like some of the Apexes, and then it'll be like, it means that I get rid of like the OSD board, I don't know about the power regulation, that might go, but it will just be nice to kind of like,
Yeah, I
come
think they're
up to
good
the
for up
modern
to
century.
6S, aren't they? So you could just run everything off VBAT and call it good. Yeah, I did a little bit of a visual upgrade as well in the Skyo 4X. I put a new steady view, or what they call it, steady mix, rapid mix or something, receiver in them, which has ELRS backpack built into it. And I thought I'd give it a little bit of thrash around the park today, and I was slaloming through all these trees around this outside the park. And this time of year, you've got to avoid all the low-hanging scraggle. There's like a big row of oak trees that go all the way around the park, and I was diving in and out and in and out. And I used to get breakup and sort of have to turn back, but I thought I'd just give it a go, put it on the mixed signal and, the kind of smart frame combining stuff. And I got all the way around and really surprised at how good the signal is, that's a nice little perk that I didn't expect. I used to run it in diversity or normal mode, but the field combining stuff seems to work really well. I can't remember when I switched it off. I think I had a problem with one VTX and switched it off, and I must have left it off for months. And I put it on again. I'm like, wow, yeah, this is even better than I remember. Worked a treat.
It does make a difference, doesn't it, in those tricky areas where it can build a frame out of seemingly nothing.
Yeah, and I was flying into the hotel and trying to avoid tiny branches, so it was really doing the job.
It's nice that it's got the backpack built in, because I have to say it's a bit of a hassle to stuff it in your goggle module bay. That's why I didn't want to swap my module round. It's like, no, there's a backpack in there. I don't want to take that out. It's hard to fit everything back in again.
So with the Sky Zones, they've got a module that's got two parts. It's got a board called, I think, the main receiver board, and then there's what they call the Fusion board, which is a daughter board that has all the smarts on it. And that Fusion board is what you get upgraded. So you have a little module there with the USB plug on, and you simply put a different daughter board on, and that gives you Express LRS. And you are able to solder Express LRS receivers in there and try and wedge it all in. But this was just a cleaner solution. And I had the V1 hardware as well, so people were reporting some issues with that. And I thought, well, peace of mind, I'll just upgrade it. It was $30, and that's not really a heck of an outlay. So I thought I'd just give it a shot. It seems pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, seems to do the job.
Because aside from Stephen managing to get out for a little flight, I don't think anybody else has managed it because the weather here is atrocious.
It's
Just
bad.
awful. I'm sat here with wings on the floor, waiting to go and try them. But even though it's not raining tomorrow, the wind's saying 10 to 12 mile an hour, which wouldn't be so bad until you get onto the sea or the sea area where I am. We're too coastal, me and Jack, and that ups the wind again and again. And you really, it's no fun trying to maiden wings in high wind because it's like, oh, is it completely shaking around or is it just blowing around in the gale? Stephen, have you built your wing yet? Just thinking about that. You've had it in the box.
It's still down there.
Oh, come on, man.
It's still down there, and I'm still exhausted, and I've got a backlog of stuff on there that I need to get rid of. It hasn't got any cleaner back there. Yeah, I'm buying a new 3D printer, and then I'll try and tidy the desk.
That's going to tidy the place up.
Yeah, I know. I've got 2 quads to build, so I can actually clear the desk, and probably a Whoop to update. And when I've built the 2 5-inches and I built the Whoop, then I'm going to get onto the plane. I know I want to do it. It's just I can't just carry on putting shit on top of piles of other shit. Excuse me, editor, because it's untenable. I need a flat surface to work on. It's getting out of control.
I cleared my desk and it lasted the whole of 5 minutes. And I've been trying to do those SH connectors. I'm so annoyed that I can't crimp them myself.
Why don't you just solder? What's killing you from soldering? Do you need the JST on the?
Yeah, I just want to do it and it be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've fully put my hand up and say I'm weak and incapable, and I just bought a whole load on AliExpress. Got the nice ones with a silicon wire and said, like, yeah, ship a bundle of them to me for like £3 or something.
Oh, wait a month. I might need that link from you. Can you get different colours?
I mean, the wires are all different colours, so you can repin them to get the colour order that you want. But yeah, they do like 3-pin, 4-pin, 5-pin, 6-pin, 7, 8, however many you want.
Might go for the old 8-pin and just order a load of them. Would you like me to build it for you, Stephen? Caroline Taylor to the rescue. Mate, that is an offer. That is
professional build services.
To build it for me. It's just like mental energy and stuff. I did a conference for a couple of days this week.
I'm just going to get a drink.
I'm just a bit knackered. We do have some robot nightmare fuel stories that we could run through, I guess. If anyone's interested in robot nightmare fuel.
What about Frank's post? Do you remember? Have you?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's Frank's post as well, but I was going to get the doom of mankind out of the way first.
Okay, go for it. Go.
Right. So to start with, on the doom of mankind, we have Red Cat appointing a military advisor. So they're gearing up to crush us beneath their iron boots. This Mary Beth Long, with an extensive resume and long list of accomplishments, basically a defense advisor, and she's now on the board of Red Cat, so they're clearly showing an interest there. They're also based out of Puerto Rico, which I didn't realize. I thought they were a US company, but apparently not. And then does
Puerto Rico count as the US technically? I thought it was, you could get in and out from it.
Different country, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's not a state, is it? It's not a state in America.
It's not a state. I don't know. I went there once. I don't remember having much immigration stuff going on, that's all.
Who knows? Then there was some other drone systems that appeared on, I can't remember where I found these, but just absolute nightmarish stuff. There's an Israeli company that has decided to attach explosives to racing drones because that's how you make friends and endear yourself to the world at large. And they're looking to sell this kind of system of battlefield technology where they take a racing drone with a camera and an NVIDIA Jetson on it and then sort of fly around and remotely detonate stuff.
Oh, that's right. This is the video we all watched, because I remember it. It sort of went around and deciding what was friend or foe, but they made a big point as there was this operator who would then say,
"Oh yeah, it's
terminate or
definitely
not."
just a robot. No.
Yeah,
I mean,
because it's like, yeah, let's just hand that over to the robot
Look,
to decide who's a friendly or not.
the robot's able to identify targets and say which are hostile, but the robot is definitely not exploding or killing anyone automatically. No, of course not. There has to be a big green button that the operator presses. Look, that's a gun, that's a person. They're hostile because we don't know them, so they must be bad guys or children or bad children or something. And anyway, so they send the drone in, and it sort of flies up behind the guy and then explodifies when someone presses a big green die button, and then you can send that into houses and you can kill whoever's in the house with a big green
signals.
die button
No
as well.
worries.
Yeah,
It's
no
just
problem.
doing it real time.
FPV through concrete, and it's flying around with like an NVIDIA Jetson on top on a 5-inch racing drone, and we all know that like totally works, and that's fine.
I
And they
kind of
managed
like
to
the
fit
thing in the
a bunch of
video,
explosive too.
this bit where it's like, oh
Don't
no, there's a
like
door.
door.
Let's become a booby trap instead, because ambush mode, as they call it, not like working essentially as a landmine.
And you notice someone had to press the button there as well, because it's definitely not just a robot killing machine. It's teleoperated killing machine, and that makes it absolutely cool.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's a whole bunch of other terrible things that they're doing, which involve having a big base. There's a wheeled vehicle they can launch things off, and then there's a giant kind of octocopter that can provide battlefield support. They're claiming it's 294 by 294 mil drone, and it's got a maximum takeoff weight of 1.25 kilos, which is hefty.
That's pretty
It's
hefty.
running an 1800 mAh 4-cell. So that's a lot of battery.
How long are they claiming it's going to be in the air? Because for a drone that size, that heavy, with that size battery, it's like 2 to 3 minutes max. Strikes me.
Yeah. A 4S 1800 is a chunk of a battery, and it's got the Jetson stuck on top of it as well.
I can't get
That's
over
not small.
that they've got a Claymore mode.
Yeah.
And like the wide angle of the lens, as if it's gonna worry about, can I have permission to explode? Like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
It sounds. I was just going to say, I like the fact that it explodes instead of having some sort of deadly projectile it could shoot people with, like a gun. It seems like DJI came out with this one. It's like, not many people are buying our death drones. What should we do? Have them explode. And every time it explodes, we have to send them a new one. Brilliant.
Yeah.
The fact that it can both identify targets and also can explode, but they're trying to make the point that it doesn't in any way do both. Like, there's no way it would identify a target and auto explode itself. Just makes it look like those are two wires that someone only has to twist together with a few lines of code.
I like the fact it can identify hostile and friendly, even though they're wearing the same camo as well. It's like, yeah, this is our guy for sure. Don't explode him.
Yeah. Sketch. Very sketchy.
Well, our lovely Lord and Master, Andrew Frank, who we miss dearly, sent us this Hackaday article dated November 24th, 2022. Start your engines. The FPV contest begins now. Hackaday and DigiKey presents FPV vehicle contest. So basically, they want to see our builds. If it's remote controlled and you feel like you're in the pilot seat, it's FPV. So they kind of, they're showing the whole, like, is that the Tesla Asimo bot thing in the seat of a car with a camera?
Had a brainwave.
Now, this isn't just about building it. They specifically emphasize what they want is for you to create a Hackaday project page, and they're not just looking at the end result. They want to get all the documentation so that someone walking into an electronics store could replicate it and build their own version. The emphasis is on documenting it and enabling others to copy what you've done. So it's all about taking photos of the builds, listing your bill of materials, showing the
Wire
software used.
diagrams.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Ooh.
Oh,
It's the height of technology.
hang on, this.
There you go. Well, I just need
Wayne,
to put this camera on.
Are you saying anyone could make one of these glorious robots? Really? Anyone?
Yeah,
Well,
but you need to
I mean,
document it.
It's advanced. I document it.
Quite advanced,
but
yeah.
It's possible. It is possible. Dream
And you
big.
may drive it up to people and it may or may not explode. It just depends on the quality of lipo you're using.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about this, as far as exploding goes, is because it's built of cardboard, it won't just explode. It has potential to start a fire as well.
You've really thought ahead. I like that.
Yeah. Just need to document it now.
Do it.
Perhaps you could document it on itself. I mean, it is a writable material.
It's true.
It's a stormtrooper. I'm sorry.
Can't
Is
hear.
it a stormtrooper?
Hey,
Stormtrooper with its head taken off.
I saw
Yeah,
you can
you
get a
need to
Lego
put one
Stormtrooper's head without the rest of a Stormtrooper now. What's that about? It's a bit odd.
Where do you buy just Lego heads? Is there a Lego head store?
Maybe if you're an Ewok at the end of the
Like a
third
giant
one.
statue of a head.
They do have, if you've been to a Lego store, and if you go there, you will come out crying because it's all very expensive. They do have these big buckets. You sort of get this thing, and if you pay money, you can fill it with bits and pieces from everywhere. I don't know if there's a bit with just Lego figures in that you can just have this Stormtrooper head. Just lots and lots of Stormtrooper heads. Something like that.
Piles of heads.
That'd be quite good fun.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
Lego's become a strangely premium item. I remember it used to just be everywhere. Just bits of Lego around the house. Everyone had piles of Lego. And now it's somehow this luxury toy with really expensive collector's sets. When did that happen?
I think Lego have figured out that actually the people that buy Lego sets are people of our age who like to reminisce about, isn't it fun to build? And thus, we can charge them £500 to build a set of Ghostbusters or Millennium Falcon, guilty as charged, and stuff like that. But yeah, and it's interesting because whenever I hear you talk about like Lego all over the place, it makes me think of Americans and the fact they can't. They have to pluralize Lego somehow, even though it's already plural.
Oh yeah, Legos.
Pick up your Legos. It's just Lego. Come on, get it right. It makes me very angry. It's one of the many things through the day that I start shouting and ranting.
Divided by a
generally
common
to me.
language.
Yeah.
I tend to do that with other words where the plural form is the same as the singular
Math.
form, though.
Maths.
It's a trend. Well, mathematic is the strict one. I mean, we're both wrong in that regard, really.
Oh, that's when they take the plural off. We say it's maths, and they say math. Weird.
I just can't get over capillary instead of capillary.
This is what they're trying to say.
That is the worst. I'm like, oh my god.
Ask an Australian about it sometime as well. Like they've got an interesting take on both the UK and the US.
Why? What do they say?
I think they think we're both idiots. More or less. But in a good-natured way.
Oh, aluminum.
Oh, not aluminum.
To be fair, though,
Soldering.
the guy, yeah, soldering.
Who's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, they
where did
can't say-
Anthony come from? Anthony. It's Anthony. It's always been Anthony, like Antonius. Anthony.
They can't say Graham either.
Ram.
Graham. Hey, can you get those graham crackers?
Reese they can't handle either.
What? Ugh.
Anyway, enough xenophobia today.
Yeah. Just one last thing. Their
There are some lovely
chocolate actually
Americans,
does taste
apart
of
from
sick. It's official.
What does Hershey's? Yeah,
Hershey's.
terrible.
It's actually got an ingredient in it that tastes of that,
It's
but they're
because they
so
use-
used to it.
They don't pasteurize the milk. Oh, what is it? It's something about the milk where they've got to use heat treated milk or something.
Yeah, this guy came up with, whoever invented Hershey's came up with this way of not pasteurizing milk and doing something else to it to make it taste like milk or something, and
like
added
Parmesan.
that to chocolate, and that ended up tasting like sick to everybody that's not American, because they're used to the idea of chocolate tastes like that.
It's horrible, that stuff.
There you go.
Anyway.
Sorry, our friends in the US.
But your chocolate's terrible.
Good news, in Canada, it's mainly UK chocolate. Yay, Canada. That's why they're so happy.
Well, they bought Nestle, didn't they? Nestle, the Canadian part of Kraft Foods, aren't they? And they bought Cadbury's.
Maybe.
So now, Cadbury's are slowly changing their recipe. Oh, look who we've got here. Da, 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 da.
Oh, Max.
This is Min. Min.
Do you name your cats after functions? Max and Min?
Min and Max,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That's why they're called that. One's little and the other one's big. So we've got Min cat and Max cat. Do you not notice that?
If Poppy, Poppy, do you see this cat? Do you see the way she's not scratching, or he's not scratching and being an obnoxious cat?
Yeah, she's a lovely little cat. She likes being snuggled, but she does try and lick my wife's eyeballs when she's sleeping, which scares the snot out of her. Don't do this to me, do you? Just painfully affectionate.
How are they? How are they enjoying the Christmas treats that I sent?
Oh, we haven't started them because it's not time for advent calendars, but it will be imminently. So we're going to start them at the start of December.
Oh.
Can I pick you up and show you to the world at large again, or will you be against that? Are you going to be a shy cat?
It's quite evident there hasn't been much flying with any of us, has there? Topics covered. Cats, chocolate.
Cats, chocolate.
Xenophobia.
Chocolate cats. Yeah.
And chocolate cats.
I upgraded a bunch of radio stuff and sent it to Jack, and then just realized that Express LRS accidentally had some light snafu on the latest version. So I might have shipped Jack some maybe less than entirely working equipment. I think I tested it just before I sent it, but I did put that latest 3.10 version on.
I'd flown on 3.1 as well, and it was absolutely fine. And it just seems to be certain things aren't good, but yeah, might want to downgrade or upgrade when they push the next one.
I think it was, if it flashes, it's fine, but what you can get is a situation where you flash it and it forgets the per device config. It forgets what pin's supposed to be connected to what inside the module, which means you have to get out your FTDI adapter and reflash. But I'm so used to just randomly grabbing the FTDI and flashing anyway. I think I might have actually got that situation with one of the modules, and I just plugged in a USB and reflashed it without thinking for more than a second. So yeah, it's fine.
The joys of sticking it in Wi-Fi mode. Yeah. Lovely Lee sent me the ELRS micro RF, and it is the 1 watt version, which I'm not even sure we're allowed to use in this country.
I thought the white one was 500.
Yeah, he's put it in the wrong box, mate. The white one's 500 milliwatt. He's put it in the same box.
It's the 500.
Yeah. The 1 watt one's black. He's trying to wind you up, mate. He's like, I've got the 1 watt one now with a backpack. I'll send Jack the poopy one.
Similar. No, that's in the Minnow one. Where's
I should know because that's what I did.
In something. It looks the same, but it's black.
It works fine. It's just the whole backpack thing that it doesn't have. I've yet to take mine above 250 milliwatt anyway. Yeah. Little Min. Everyone say hello. It's Little Min who's behaving herself. Is clawing me a little bit, but you're being broadcast to the world. Do you know that? Don't care.
So sweet.
Learn from other cats.
Oh, she doesn't learn. This one's an empress.
To kill me.
Yeah, she's the one that ate all the bagels. Pretty sure you're the one that knocked open the saurine malt loaf and tried to poison yourself as well. Had to go to the vets, didn't you?
Gobshite hooligan.
Hooligan, absolute hooligan. Just tries to eat cake and avocado and things that cats should not be having.
Oh.
So, are anybody planning to get out in the next week? What have we got to fly, test, do? Anything?
I can now, if I could be asked, I can now fly the retro quad. I just need to plug in and set the VTX thing and put the receiver somewhere. But this is, in theory, good to go.
Nice.
So
I might do some flying. You just reminded me I've got yet another build. I've got 2 5-inches I was going to build. My 4-inch also got cream crackered towards the end of the summer. And I had an H7 AIO I was going to put in there. Oh, Jack, you're right. Oh,
no,
you with
I
us?
went down the wrong hole. Sorry about that. That must have been horrendous. Sorry.
Yeah, so I've got a 4-inch that I was going to rebuild. I might go do that. I was umming and ahhing about getting walk snail, but I think honestly I'm just not buying it. It's not good enough compared to the original DJI stuff. It's a little bit better, and I've got more than a couple of DJI Air units, so don't really want to carry around another set of goggles.
That would be a pain to take 2 quads out with 2 different sets of goggles, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's bad enough managing the analog stuff. And it's not light enough that it can go all the way down to like a 65mm whoop, despite the fact people do insist on putting it on whoops, and they're like, yeah, I've built a 65mm whoop. The flight times are like 90 seconds and the batteries come down puffed. It's not really worth it.
I bought that a little mini receiver, with the EP1 or whatever, and I want to add that to my brushed whoop, but I cannot find the data on it anywhere.
Data on what? On which pin switch?
You've got to cut a trace for the built-in diversity module. It's the B-Brain Lite.
Oh God, the
then
B-Brain stuff. No.
Yeah, and then I've got to find, like hook it up to the UART2, and they don't sell it anymore, and the page with the info isn't there on the website anymore, and I've literally just got Reddit posts of.
Yeah, that B-Brain stuff, it's interesting what they do. But they don't open source it because they're worried about cloners. But they have an MCU that they use instead of the Mega 87456 that everyone else uses for OSD. They don't have one of those. They do it all in software, which is cool, but it means that you have to use their software releases for everything, and the documentation is kind of not always available. It's a bit annoying.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. Don't know how I feel about it. So I'm just
That's kind of what I ended up with, Brian. Like having HD 0 and thinking, oh, this is cool, and then flying the DJI stuff, and I'm a DJI whore as well.
Bunch of hoes.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
is that all we got time for?
It's pretty much it.
He's got to go and watch celebrities die of food poisoning now.
Oh, if Matt Hancock chokes on anything and dies, I will start masturbating regardless of where I am.
Challenging,
whether it's
I can see a point of view.
Appropriate. Good luck editing that one out, editor. Yeah, for you. Make sure you're still listening. Thank you. Speaking of editors, the lovely patrons who pay for the editing and the hosting and the app that we whilst we're here, you lovely people, thank you so much. You guys
Thank you,
rule.
Patreons. We will get more content. It's just been a bit of a slow week, apart from the one giant story.
Yeah, me and Stephen are going to put our heads together and send some invites and get some people on. You guys rule. Thank you so much. You've been listening to Let's Throw Now. We're live on YouTube, 8 p.m. till 9 p.m. UK time. If you do want to come and say hello, we're often hanging out in the Discord. The link is on our website, letsdroneout.com. You can also purchase some merchandise from our spread shirt if you wish. You've been joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten,
Goodbye.
the
Say
man
bye,
with the
Pops.
lovely moustache, and the owner of Max and Min.
Good night and goodbye.
And I have
What
been
the cats have got up to.
Bright to Love Fly. Hit the like button, subscribe, and message Tony and tell him he is a dog botherer. Thank you.
Mhm.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.